All right, guys, welcome back to the Guilty as Charged podcast. We are so happy to be joined by Chargers running back Austin Ekeler. Austin, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on, boys. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, man, we are super excited to have this on here, and I think you've been a very busy man this offseason. You've got a lot of things going on. One of the things that I can't wait to see for you is kind of your Gridiron Gaming Group. You're going to do a live stream the day of the draft. Why don't you tell people how they can find that and what kind of things you got going on for the Gridiron Gaming Group next week?
Yeah, Gridiron Gaming Group is a company that I started basically from seeing the value of streaming online and really connecting with your community. And I saw value when I was doing that just by myself, and I was like, I want to help other people do this as well. And so I started reaching out to other teammates that were streaming, and we started Gridiron Gaming Group. And so now we're up to like 10 athletes, I believe, and not just football players either. Like we have Connor Daly, he's an IndyCar driver. Alicia Gray, she plays in the WNBA. Tommy Canley plays for the Dodgers MLB. And so we're just trying to help basically at this point athletes connect with their community, because we have a big platform as athletes, but there's always separation as far as, oh, you're just an athlete. Well, it's like, well, how do I prove that I'm something else? And so this is the way that we're able to do that through these big social platforms and live streaming. And a way we like to do it even further is doing these bigger events. For instance, I did my first event with Super Bowl. We just like I did with 6 of us at the time. That's how many we had. We just did a big competition where we compete for prizes for our own communities. And it was just a really good social event. So now we're going to do another one off of the NFL draft. And so if you watch the NFL draft at all, especially in the first round, it's all very technical. People watching like old highlights. If you watch on ESPN, like watching college stats, stuff like that. And so we're going to do it a little bit different. We're going to give a different viewing experience as far as more of a laid back social type of experience, still around football. So we're going to have basically all 32 teams represented. Well, some teams actually don't have a first round pick, but all the teams that do, they will be represented by someone from the team or someone that's a really big fan or influencer that's a fan of the team. So you'll be able to see kind of side by side with someone that's on the team or someone in that space and see what's going on in their life and what they think about the pick. And it's just a play on the same thing, but just from a different perspective. And so really looking forward to that. You can find that. It's going to be on Twitch. It's twitch.tv/Austin Ekeler on the 29th. And I believe it starts at 5 p.m. Pacific time, just during the first round.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I think there's been this kind of monopoly on the NFL draft with ESPN, but I love the way that other people are getting in on this action. And this sounds like a very interesting and interactive process that other fans can tune in. And so if you guys want to leave our stream to join Austin's stream, we will not hold that against you guys.
Hey, it's just a one-time thing. So you guys stream too on Twitch or what? Like where are you streaming at?
Well, we're streaming on YouTube, but yeah.
Oh, okay. You guys got
well, you could open both browsers and you got the YouTube,
there
you got
the
the
go.
Twitch.
There you go. Man. Let's go.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you about Brandon Staley, your new coach. I'm sure he's reached out to you and all the other players. What have sort of been your impressions of him so far? I know it's still early in the process and there hasn't been obviously a lot of on-field stuff, but what have been your impressions so far?
Yeah, we've actually had a full week of meetings now. So we've been with the coaches because they're starting in our virtual off season for this first month anyway. But yeah, so we've been around the coaches. Coach Staley, he's implementing himself as far as what he's about, his values about football, and then also just about life as well, because that's where we live. Football is a small part of life, so I think it's very important. I'm really appreciative of him, expressing how he feels about us as people more than just football players. And he sets his boundaries, like, hey, this is what I like, this is what I do. I'm going to be a straight shooter, and I love that from him. And just because that's how we need to hear. We don't beat around the bush. Tell me how it is. Yeah. Let's build a relationship like that, right? Especially when we have this like business relationship, because then people tend to be swayed a different way, and that's not really what's going on. So I like that he's a straight shooter. He comes in, he implements himself, he talks to people, he calls people out. Like I like that because he's getting that interaction between me and him, and I'm like, okay, like I trust this guy. Like he's tested me. He knows what he's talking about. And so, yeah, and just growing a relationship with all the rest of the guys, and the coach has been going well as well.
That's great stuff, man. I'm curious to get your thoughts on, how last year the COVID offseason really is going to impact things going forward. Obviously, there's been a lot of players union reps for certain teams. I think it's up to like 9 or 8 teams that have kind of said like we're advising our players to opt into like a virtual off season. Do you think the NFL is heading towards, you know, a major change in that regard? And where do you kind of land on like virtual off season, virtual mini camp versus being in person in the facility?
I kind of have two perspectives on it, honestly, because COVID is still a real, you know, thing that's going on in the world, right? So that's kind of what brought attention to, hey, like we can't go into the facility last year, right? We had all virtual off season, and then this year it's even more spreading even more often and more frequent than it was last year during this time. And so that's kind of why we're saying, look, like the problems that persisted in the past are still here. So we just want to protect ourselves and let everyone stay away from each other. But then you go through the season last year, it kind of opened my eyes to just a new way of thinking about my training. Just coming in, it's like when we have OTAs and, you know, mini camp, you know, I've been trained in just like, especially through college, like, oh, I need to, you know, build up and be peaking around OTAs, mini camp, so I can, you know, perform and show like, oh, this is why I deserve to be here. But it's like, after going through a few seasons, like that's why I see people get burnt out really quick, because they start peaking in the summer and the spring, and then they have to sustain that all the way until season starts, right? But hey, what if I peak in spring train or in fall camp, right when the season's beginning, and then my body feels way better going in, it can last a little bit longer, right? And so that's where I see it in the training, where it's benefiting the system training as well. And I think that we just have had this old school way where, like in college, it starts from college. Like college has their spring training, right? It was like, do they need that? Probably not. But it's like, well, they have guys just sitting around on campus doing nothing. So they want to make sure they're in there grinding, and in college, they work you into the ground because they have way more control on you. It's like, that's not how it has to be. Like for your body, it's probably not the best way. And so, you know, COVID is the main reason as far as why we just want to stay away from each other right now, just because getting 90 guys in one area is just like never a good time during COVID, right? That's why you see all these, you know, bans as far as how many people you could have working out and stuff like that. And just the practicality of it too. Like we can only have 10 people working out at the same time. So if we have everyone there, like, it's just like, what are we doing? Like you got to go through this time, like the organization is just not practical. And then there's not enough meeting space in the building. So we have to stay in our cars. And so it's like, what are we doing here? Like, what are we doing for like a 45-minute, like run around on the field? We're doing all this stuff. And so there's a lot of reasons that play into it, why we just want to stay virtual. But yeah, I'll leave it at that.
So I also, you know, Google what's the latest COVID news and all that. But I've also been Googling what is an NFT because I'm still trying to understand exactly what it is. But you do have an NFT collection, and I know you want to talk about it. So give us a little bit of details on that.
So I don't have necessarily a collection, but I have a limited edition that's going to be dropping soon. I'm going to have 30 NFTs dropping soon. There are 3 of them. There's 3 different types, but there's 10 of each. So yeah, I'm really excited about it. Basically, it's, if you don't know what NFT is, non-fungible token. And if you're still like, what the heck does that mean? It's basically, think of it as like digital artwork. So I'm not going to share what mine are because it drops on Monday, which I believe is the 26th. I think that's right. But yeah, so mine, you have to check them out there. Come follow me on Instagram so you can get a sneak peek at those. Or do some research to see if you're actually even interested in it. But basically for me, it's like why does any like piece of artwork have value? It's because people give it value. And so I'm trying to create an NFT. It's based on things in my life that I am involved with as far as lifting and football that are really dear and true to my heart. And I've just made like basically an artwork of those. And one's like a little clip, and then 2 are just pictures that have edits on them that kind of move around. And those are my 3 NFTs that are coming out. I'm super excited about them just because I've never done anything like this, and the world is becoming more digital every day as we see more cryptos coming on, and now NFTs coming into space. So I have no idea where it's going to go. I have no idea what the heck it is, but I just know I'm really excited about having some type of digital artwork out there for people to own. And yeah, I'm excited to drop them on Monday.
That's super interesting, man. You mentioned, the cryptocurrency. Everybody kind of made fun of Russell Okung for getting paid in Bitcoin, but he kind of looks like a smart man
Yeah.
right now with how
This
that's kind of
man,
playing.
so Russell Okung was on my team, right?
Obviously, yeah.
Before he left and then started getting paid in Bitcoin. But he used to have conventions. He would go up to LA, be like, "Hey man, come to my convention. I'm educating people on Bitcoin." I'm like, what the heck is this guy talking about? And this is before he was even getting paid. He's already had a bunch of money in Bitcoin, and this man's been playing a long time, so he's got a substantial amount of money in Bitcoin. And I'm just like, man, you're crazy, man. Like I saw it go to 20,000. Now it's at 3,000. You're crazy. And sure enough, man, because now this thing's at 60K. And I'm just like, dang, I should have gone to those conventions.
That's awesome. I love that so much. Obviously, that's a great thing. You mentioned working out. That's obviously something that you've been passionate about. I know a few months ago, or you kind of put out a challenge to some other NFL players or other people about, challenging you in the weight room and to see if you really are the strongest pound for pound player in the league. Have you gotten any requests there? Has anybody stepped up to the plate?
The only one who stepped up to the plate is my little brother. My little brother actually challenged me.
Okay.
And so no one has challenged me, man. I was like, did this not get enough exposure or what? It was the 405 squat challenge. You just do 405 10 times. That's the challenge. And if you can you do as many as you can. I did 13. And if you can beat me, then bang, you beat me in my challenge. But literally it was tagged in zero other posts. So hey, I guess as of now, I'm still keeping my crown. So
I don't know if our kind of viewers are going to be the ones who are going to challenge you in the 405 squat
hey, that's
challenge.
the thing. But look, if they know someone that's like, oh, bodybuilder status, like shoot, tag them. Like I want to see somebody, somebody started up. But yeah, my little brother actually, he challenged me to a pull-up contest. And so it's with a 45-pound plate. I'm just going to use a weight and it's just many pull-ups as you can. And so I'm going to be posting that today on Instagram. We'll do like a side-by-side so people can see who won. But yeah, my little brother and I, he plays at Wyoming. We'll start some workout challenges.
I wanted to talk to you about Justin Herbert and sort of how that experience went last year. Obviously wins Offensive Rookie of the Year. What was a moment, whether it was training camp, in a game, after the season, where you sort of knew this guy is a little bit different than your average rookie quarterback?
I think is, probably pretty close to like second or third game in when he was just making plays with his arm, running, just doing things that, were just causing like excitement in our offense as far as throwing the ball downfield, running people over on the sideline. Like this man, like in training camp, it's hard to really tell because there's no one that's going to tackle you. Like no one's coming at you. Like people are coming at you, but everyone's like kind of lays off, right? Protect our own players. So you're not really sure. Like I can see like his arm talent and he's struggling through just all the rookie things as far as, the knowledge of the game, the speed of the game, the adjustments, the offense, the pressure. And so he's going through that like every rookie does. And, finally gets thrown into a game and gets into a situation where, okay, now it is live. And now, I think it almost helps him to calm down. Like he's like, okay, I'm just playing football. This is still just football, even though it's at the highest level. Yeah, and then you just continue and get better. And the mental game just became easier for him. I saw that because I blew out my hamstring, right? So I missed like 8 weeks. And then when I came back, like it seemed like it was a different person as far as his mental game, as far as now he's understanding the offense, understands the checks, understands this protection for blitzes and things like that, and understands coverages. And so he's a really smart guy, really loves the game of football, really loves hanging out with the guys. And so I love his personality. And as long as we keep him healthy, man, we keep him standing him up, he's going to have another great year this year.
I'm glad you mentioned his personality because, I don't know if you guys were aware of like draft narratives that were happening and if they're like, I don't know how much you guys pay attention to that, but people were like questioning his ability to lead a locker room and if he was like a robot. And then I personally, like I never bought into, I went to the University of Utah. And so obviously Oregon and Utah played each other in the Pac-12 championship game. And then he goes down to the Senior Bowl and he's like super good friends now with Terrell Burgess and all these other players from Utah. So for me, I was like, I don't buy this. Were you guys aware of any like draft narratives about him?
Here's the thing, man. Like there's like this, I don't know, like the stereotype that like, oh, all quarterbacks have to be like the leader of the team. Like I feel like that's a spot that's looked at as a leader because you have so much impact on the offense and like a lot of leaders are quarterbacks. but that's not necessarily like we have so many leaders on a team in the NFL. Like we don't rely at like, Justin, we need you to lead us. Like we have so many leaders on the offense as far as just people that are just going to motivate you. Like what does a leader do? Like it doesn't mean he's not like just talking about routes with his receivers, but a leader is someone that's going to motivate you and give you a more of a reason to want to do better for the team, for yourself. Like that's what a leader does. Right. And so like, I don't need that specifically from my quarterback. I don't need it. It could be from anyone. Yeah. You know, it could be from the long snapper, right, who has one job. Like it doesn't matter. It's just that type of personality. It's that type of person. And so as the quarterback being the leader, that to me, that's BS, because I don't need that to come from any specific position, right? It comes from a certain personality, certain person type. And Justin, you know, he's gained more confidence, and, you know, he's when you gain confidence, you know, then you're like, okay, now I'll say what's on my mind a little bit more. Not necessarily like he would always talk scheme, anything scheme, like football, he's great. But now it's like, okay, this is how I feel about, you know, the coaching. This is how I feel about how the way we're working, like getting into that space, that leadership role. And that'll come with time as well. Like this is a new space for a lot of people, and people just come in with different comfortability levels. Like Derwin James, for instance, he came in his rookie year and he's yelling, he's talking, he's saying everything on his mind, right? We're all different. You know, I came in, I was a little quieter. Now I'm starting to, you know, get my voice, and really just because I feel like I earned my place. And now I feel like, you know, I've gone through a lot of stuff as far as coming from, you know, undrafted. And so now I feel like I can help educate other people. And so like, I'm not a big rah guy. I'm definitely going to have energy. I'm going to tell you how I feel that you're doing, and I want you to tell you how I feel that, or how you feel that I'm doing. Right. Awesome. But it's like, it's not all about the positions, right? It's just about the people.
I want to ask you one more question. You mentioned leadership. The Chargers actually have had a lot of captains, or people who were previously captains, leave this offseason. Melvin Ingram was a captain, Casey Hayward, Mike Pouncey. How do you think that leadership void kind of gets filled? And are you a guy who sees yourself and goes, I want to be a captain?
I think it gets filled naturally. It gets filled naturally. And the thing is that might be a good or a bad thing, right? You can't, like every year, you just can't expect to have good leaders. There's good leaders, there's bad leaders. Right. What I mean by that is like there's leaders that are good at football, but don't necessarily help other people, give them another motivation to want to play. Like there's like good at football, so people respect them. I wouldn't say that's a great leader. I wouldn't say you're not a good leader. It's just like that's not leadership quality. Being good at what you do is not leadership. It's good, like lead by example. Sure, maybe for doing good habits, stuff like that. But as far as like talking to me, like physically, like getting in my head and helping me, that is different. But you know, it depends on the team coming in, and depends, I feel like, the head coach, you know, because what the head coach is preaching, what they're about, I feel like that's going to resonate through the team. And, you know, we're going to echo what the head coach is trying to get, you know, established in this team. And here's the thing. It's like, I don't consider myself like a captain. I don't know. That's not for me to decide. I don't, I'm not really worried about it. Right. Like for some people, it might mean a lot to them. To me, I'm could care less if I'm a captain now. I'm still going to speak how I feel, and I'm going to, you know, be the person that I am. And, you know, good leaders, you know, hopefully we have them. I really hope with our new guys that we brought in that there's some good leaders in there. And I've seen that from a couple, you know, O'Day, one of our old linemen, and specifically. And so we'll see. It's a roll of the dice, right? Like we don't know. It's a new chemistry that we're gonna have to build together.
Yeah, I love that answer, man. And so we'll kind of get you out of here on this one. Obviously, last year you had your own issues with some injuries. Justin Jackson had some issues with his own injuries. Joshua Kelly kind of went through the rookie struggle. What do you think the kind of mindset for this running back room is for 2021, and what can we kind of expect to see out of the three of you, maybe a fourth one through the draft?
Yeah, man. For me, as far as what I'm trying to implement, like I came in, I actually told the running back group, I was like, you guys, regardless of what happens with you guys, I'm going to come in, I'm going to prove why Austin Ekeler should be on this team. And that's not all that's what I'm doing as a minimum. And then also I need you guys. Like I need all of you guys. I'm going to be pushing. I told you, I'm going to bring you guys with me. I'm going to be pushing you to the max because I already got paid. Like I'm here for, you know, a couple more years, or if they cut me, they still owe me money. Right. So for me, it's not about money anymore. I'm like, let's go. Like, I need you guys to help, you know, us win games. And if for me to do that, like, I need you to play well. right? So I'm trying to give these guys knowledge. I'm trying to give them energy. I'm trying to give them more of a reason to want to play, not just for themselves, but for their social life, for the opportunities that the NFL provides if you continue to stay in it, and just for, your family in the future. Like, there's just so many new opportunities that can come if you're playing well in the NFL, just because the platform is so big. And so I'm trying to just really motivate and really just educate all the guys and how big and how rare this opportunity is in the NFL platform, because it's bigger than football. It's way more than football. The skills that you learn while you're in the NFL, the connections that you make will go beyond the league, beyond your playing time. Like, you're going to be living hopefully a lot longer than you're playing. And so it's like, well, you're here, you might as well make the most out of it. And what does that mean? Well, that means you play as hard as you can and you put in the work to try to make as much money and get as much out of the NFL as sorry, I'm getting tired here. I got so much coming in my head. No, when I was a rookie, someone told me to, like, get more out of the NFL than it gets out of you. And that sits with me. I'm like, yes, because the NFL is going to beat your body down.
Yeah.
Right. And the thing is, it's going to be mentally and physically. And so, okay, how can I get back? And so that's why during this offseason, that's why I've been going crazy with the podcast, with all the content, with all the connections, with the NTFs, with, like, I have a lamp company, like, we make lamps and stuff. Like, I got a bunch of different stuff. My foundation, Gridiron Gaming Group, like, I am trying to just connect in all the things that I'm passionate about. Right. And so I've been able to do that because I've been playing well. That's where it starts.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm trying to bring those guys with me. And I'll leave it at that.
Awesome, man. I love that. We can't thank you enough for being able to join us. This has been an awesome experience for us, being able to chat with you. And we can't wait to see, what this season holds for you specifically, and obviously for the Chargers. And, more than anything else, we just hope you stay healthy, hope you're able to stay on the field and reach all the goals that you're able to have. So, Austin, thank you so much for joining us. And we really appreciate it, man.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on, boys. You guys have a good one.